gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
Come back. You know, the Variety Hour with BobB on Wednesday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. And we're so glad you're back with us. We're in the throes of Jazz Fest, and that'll be included in some of our topics today. But let's go over right away two things. One, I like to emphasize more and more. I hear all our commercials that are waiting to come on, and our announcers always talking about listen to. My foreplay here is to get it to be a video, not just an audio. So we're trying to move to that transition. So I encourage you to watch us, not just listen to us. And again, on the situation, you can see us on your laptop or your PC and also by your app by going on the laptop and PC to the New Orleans TalkNetwork.com website. And all of our live shows, as they come on, will be featured in the main part. So it's a nice size screen to see it. Again, on the smartphone, if you hit the app, if it's live streaming, you will see the picture of the show right there on your screen of your smartphone. Or you can also go to the drop-down menu from smartphone and go to Instagram or Facebook, see us there. And last but not least, my favorite, because of my big old eye, bad eyes, I love to see it on TV on the big screen. So if you're lucky enough to know about Chromecast or some of the other types of that, you can show us on the big screen, see how big I actually get. Anyway, I'm sorry to waste your time with that, but I think it's important for us to talk about what I call TV net, more than just the audio shows that we produce for you here. Okay. As part of my opening, I wanted to mention what our three topics are today. Primary topic that I'm going to start with is short-term rentals. You may or may not, if you're living in Orleans Parish, I'm sure you're quite aware and heard a lot about it starting last year all the way through early spring. And we're going to just rehash a little bit of that. But if you're in Jefferson Parish, it's been all quiet. There's not been a word said, anything. And I've done some research with the local offices and politicians to give you what Jefferson Parish is doing or plans to do in regards to that. And next after that, if we have time, we certainly want to talk about Jazz Fest continuing. If you want, I've brought my latest issue of Gambit with our illustrious Deacon John on the cover. And, of course, I've highlighted some of the big top acts and their dates and stages from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll read off a few of those if we have time. And before the end of the hour, we're hoping to do a little shout-out to a new restaurant. That's going to be part of our restaurant segments called Restaurant Review, which we hope to expand to a full-time show for you. So we will ask time to time new restaurants to call in, which they may do. If not, we'll just give a 5 to 10 minute shout-out about them so you'll be familiar with all the new restaurants coming in the city. So we've always got some topics that we put, but as you know, our motto here is that we provide the topic, you provide the conversation. But the subtitle there is, if you don't like our topics, change it. All you got to do is call or text, and even though I don't see the text, our staff technicians are watching them closely, and they will certainly tell me if either there's a question or if there's a topic you'd like to talk about and change, and we're happy to do so. Now, we like to try and do it light here, and I know right now we're in the throes of some heavy-duty serious matters with regard up in Baton Rouge, and also here locally with the monuments up in Baton Rouge with the killing of the gentleman there. So I understand that a lot of people want to talk about that. If you have to talk about it with me, I don't mind. At the same time, I know some of our other hosts here are much more skilled and adroit at that. So you leave it to your discretion. Or you can call me. If I make a fool of myself, fine. Then move on to one of the authorities. Anyway, okay. Let's see. And, of course, we always do the raffle coming up. We'll do that right after the first break. But let's start talking about short-term rentals. Now, what does the short-term rental mean? Now, when this started back in December, of course, it's been going on for a long time. In fact, for years, people have been renting out their homes or running illegal bed and breakfasts, which, what does that mean? You have a bed and a breakfast. All of these to compensate for the high hotel rooms that our hotels charge, especially during event stages, but also because I believe we have maybe 35,000, I'm guessing now, on hotel rooms. And that's just for an official hotel, which I think has to have more than 10 or 15 rooms. But there's a lot of short-term hotels. There's a lot of B&Bs. And now the new guy on the street is called a short-term rental. And there's at least 2 national or international agencies that offer this long before we even addressed it. In fact, that's what was happening, is that one of these agencies that was the pioneer, goes by the name of Airbnb, was placing people all around the city in homes for the people just have to register with them without getting permits, without getting this. The neighbors were complaining because there was transits going around. Sometimes they'd rent out the whole house for, again, short periods of time, especially during an event, a weekend or a week, as opposed to driving the resident out of the thing, making it a non-residential neighborhood. So we're going to go over in a moment what the legislation that was passed became effective April 1st by the city council. Remember, this is not statewide. This is New Orleans right now. It dictates. And what they tried to do was get a handle on people, I hate to use the word illegally, but certainly not following the rules established, and of course, more importantly, probably not paying the taxes that are necessary for having such licenses and permits. So after months and months of talking and back and forth with the citizenry, trying to decide how to formulate something that's going to be amenable to all, because obviously they can't rule this out. It's an up and coming thing, even though for us and all over the world, it's always been something that's been done. It's your home. You can do what you want with it, the old adage goes. But in order to better control it and to obviously bring in more revenue, et cetera, and to have these things identified rather than always working undercover. I know I have one in my neighborhood, and it's it's a lovely home uptown. But it's not occupied. It's not owner occupied. The landlords, in fact, they have 2 homes right next door to it, and it's connected in the back. It's so obvious that it's a B&B for the joint shared areas. And every time I see the owner, he and she still deny that it's a B&B, even though it's listed in many, many places, because they're always afraid that something's going to happen, and they're not operating maybe within the law. Nowadays, they probably are, because that's what's good about this is bringing a lot of non-conforming use into proper codification of the city, and also there will be enforcement, as we'll talk about that. I think let's see, is it about time for first break before we start into more? I don't want to get too much details. Now, I don't see that magic sign. So let's start a little bit. Let's see, all right. So as I said, the first thing they did when the April 1st came out, the regulation, the actual enforcement or the actual beginning of the ordinance was April 1st, even though it had been decided in December. And what it did, the first thing was to go ahead and define short-term rentals. So they have actually made a 3-deal definition. Back to, before I get into that definition, as I mentioned, we were trying to talk about a little bit of statistics with regard to numbers. As we mentioned, I thought there were 35,000 rooms. They give examples. Of course, today's population in New Orleans post-Katrina is up to, at this particular time, 384,320, still below our Katrina amounts. The amount of tourists they like to show is on the average of 9.5 million tourists coming in. The Airbnb, which we're going to define, talking about, they have registered in the New Orleans area At that time it was $1,335. I think I saw a more recent total of $1,445, which means these are a combination of whole house rentals, partial rentals, single bedroom rentals, multiple bedroom rentals up to 5, and shared rooms. You can actually even share a room. So we're going to get into more detail on that. But you can see that there is a need for rooms, even though it's only the big events that the hotels are totally sold out. But as you know, the other situation is we're talking about just tourists, but a good percentage of our tourists are also customers or business or commercial customers. And these folks come to our city not necessarily for an event. Many times they might get caught up, like in Mardi Gras, and not know what to do if they're from some other country and aren't able to continue doing work as they're set here for. But also their requirements by their employers is to put them on usually a very stringent or defined, let's put it this way, budget with regarding to their expenses, and specifically with regard to the hotel. If the hotel's going to be $200, $300, or more $100 a night, that is going to cut significantly into the amount that they're probably allowed because of the prerequisite specification that the employer is giving. Now, employers do give different allowances, not only per person based on their level of employment, but also based on the location they're going to. Obviously, if they're going to Des Moines, Iowa, no disrespect there, they're going to be less expensive overall, I would imagine. I don't have those stats compared to New Orleans, New York, Chicago, etc. Now, we still will probably be less than New York and Chicago and San Francisco, maybe Chicago, but not necessarily by much. And some of our hotels might even be more expensive, especially during our special events when we, the hoteliers, actually tag on a minimum requirement or stay, like during Mardi Gras. Some of them as much as 5 days, besides raising the rate during that period. So this is why, even though we talk about Mardi Gras being, or Jazz Fest being something for everyone to attend, Mardi Gras being free with no charges for attending the Mardi Gras, still at the same time, if they got to spend huge amounts for the hotel, it's not going to encourage the tourists, whether it be the young folk who are not as well situated financially, or a senior, or anyone that is looking to work within a certain amount of money. So that's why some of these motels or hotels, whatever they call them now, which are really garden hotels, or by the suites where they do rent them for a week with a kitchen, etc. These, of course, appeal to the commercial traveler. At the same time, these Airbnbs, these short-term rentals now, can be even more lucrative for the wise consumer, as well as beneficial to the host, by offering less than some of these other hotels are with regard to dollars and cents, and certainly not necessarily having to add things. They might share a kitchen or whatever. So the important thing is this, and the feature, of course, of doing this is not only the financial saving for the customer and the financial advantage for the host or the landlord or the homeowner, but also the ability to learn about the city. Whether you're hanging up in a suburb or an urban area, you feel that you're hopefully, if it's a owner-occupied or an owner-concerned property, that you will get a better treatment and learn more about the city. Okay, before we get too deep now, it looks like finally it is time for the breaks. I want to get this over with so we'll get our raffle and get in deep. So we're going to go ahead and take a break, come back on the other side, talk about the raffle ending today, and the new raffle, show you what we're going to offer for next week. So come on back after the commercial, and we'll pick up where we left off. Okay?
Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. I believe every lie that I ever...
How does does a crawfish or shrimp etouffee sound? What about a piping hot cup of gumbo or a catfish platter with soft shell crawfish, catfish, livers, and pickles? And that's just for starters. What about entrees? If this is getting your mouth watering, then you need to come to the Praline Connection. Our down-home Cajun Creole-style restaurant has been providing soul food at affordable prices for over 20 years. And our pralines are delicious. We're a restaurant, a gift shop, and a candy shop, all in one. Bring your friends and enjoy an amazing meal today. Come see us at 542 Finchman Street in New Orleans, or check us out online at www.pralinconnection.com. And be sure to like us on Facebook. You can also give us a call at 504-943-3934.
Are you looking for a home to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on the Gulf Coast that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Y'all know me, this is a people person here.
Big homie head.
It's your boy Fred.
This man, big fan.
Right. Listen, we're your host of the New Orleans Talk Network's Fan View. Real fast talk, real sports. Check us out every Thursday night, 6 p.m.
Hi, this is Jill Samuels with Faith That Works. Join us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon on New Orleans Talk Network as we change the lives of people with the Word of God by equipping the body of Christ to evangelize the world while reconciling people back to God. Let us continue to carry the water to the desert because Jesus is the living water.
Stop this hauling water to the sea.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Here at Jones Insurance, your full-service agency, let us take care of all your insurance needs. We provide homeowners insurance, flood, rental, commercial, auto, and life insurance. Don't let the unexpected tragedy destroy your family's future. Here at Jones Insurance, 7603 West Bank Expressway, Monroe, Louisiana, 772. Contact Lois at 504-348-1492.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
Well, welcome back. You caught me scratching my nose as you saw a little itch came upon me. Anyway, whatever the weather's like. Welcome back to Talk What You Know, the BobB Variety Hour on Wednesdays from 8 to 9. As we said, you're watching us, hopefully laptop, PC, smartphone, also listening maybe Bluetooth on your speakers if you're driving, and my favorite, if you Chromecast us or something like that, to the big screen on TV. But regardless, as long as you come back to us each week or each day, because it's so filled here more and more, our programming is what we appreciate. We don't forget our talk line. I didn't give that. We would love to hear from you, especially whether you're embroiled or curious about the short-term rental business and how it can affect you, or our other topics when we get into Jazz Fest, or anything about restaurants or food. We would love to talk to you about it. So that number, of course, is the same old area code, New Orleans 504, but the main number is 341-8255 or 341-TALK. And you can tweet us and do that, and someone on our staff will tell us if there's something I need to address for you. So we hope you're watching out there and listening, and we're going to go ahead and move forward. Now, this segment, always after the break, is our weekly raffle, which we've been pretty successful with, I think, especially those Jazz Fest tickets last week. Now, I don't know if it was because this week was a letdown from instilling a Jazz Fest, but as you know, before we show that, Mike, we're talking about last week's Jazz Fest awards were 2 remaining sun hats. We didn't have the tickets. I was hoping to get tickets as well to enhance it, but we weren't able to get it for you all. So obviously, because it remained just the sun hats, if you remember what they would look like, 2 ladies, sun hats, straw, round top, with one with a lovely pink bow and the other one with a lovely purple bow. So it'd be perfect for either young ladies, friends, or elder ladies, because adults, as I talked about before, purple and pink are the top 2 colors that ladies favor. So what happened is we did our usual pull with our random picker software and tried to reach out to the winner. As you know, we don't ask for phone numbers. That's personal. But we reached out via email, and we've done it on 2 occasions, and that person or persons have not responded. So we can only surmise that either they're not listening, not paying attention, tore up the email or ignored the email, or are not interested because we weren't able to include tickets for the second weekend. So what we will do, we'll keep drawing and contacting folks for those hats, because we would still like to give them away, even though not, especially before this weekend, so that perhaps the young ladies can use it during because I think this weekend we forecast is for all sun. We're not going to have another Sunday with all the messy rain and wind and all that we had last week. So don't forget about the sun hat. So if you're still, remember, it's a one-time registration. We'll talk about that after. So you're still qualified for last week's as well, redraw as well as this week's. Now, Mike's going to put up what he was about to put up, and that's what we're offering this week are a pair of books. Now, I'm going to be showing you 4 on the screen and also in person here, and you get to choose from 2. 2 of them are cookbook, 3 of them are cookbooks, and 1 is a book on restaurants and chefs. That's kind of exclusive. All right, the first one, which you see the lovely cover, and I'm also going to hold up here. There you go. It's called Heart and Soul Cookbook. This is done by a local church community on the East Bank. Section of recipes by category, and each category has a section with a pretty picture telling you whether it's appetizers or soups or entrees. So it's a lovely deal. It's a family style cookbook done paperback with a spiral cup. So and again, it's well worthwhile to add to your collection if you're a collector of cookbooks, which is very popular to do nowadays. I don't know if you're aware of that. Plus to try some of the recipes. Some of them may already be covered because they're basic situations. Now, the next one is the beginning of a pair. Now, you can select both of these or independently just one of your favorites. This is done by a very noted author, Holly Clegg, out of Baton Rouge. Now, she was she's a member of the Klein-Peter dairy family, if you know the Klein-Peters in Baton Rouge. But she's a well-known author in her own right. I believe she has either a syndicated show, a cook show, or at least a Baton Rouge show, and has authored numerous books. Well, happened to be a friend of hers, and whenever she comes down to New Orleans, the old days she was sponsored by, you ready for this, folks? Look how old I'm talking, Maison Blanche. And so she would always appear at Maison Blanche whenever she had a new cookbook for a promotion. And, of course, I'd be there to say hello and purchase one of her books, which she always was nice enough to dedicate in the sign. Now, you might not like the idea it's dedicated to me, but the important thing is, as you know, any signed document or piece of art increases the value. So the one right here is the newer one of the 2, and it says American Favorites, but it's trim and terrific. So it's taking one of her earlier books and trying to, of course, scale it down for this new health consciousness that we all should be following so that we can live a better life. So that's one of them. Again, it's a paperback, spiral cut, Holly's lovely pictures right on the back, and a story about her, if you'd like to know. And then the earlier thing, which of course is the reason why I'm the size I am, is, don't take offense here, The Devil's Food. And The Devil's Food, of course, is a dessert cookbook. Again, done by Holly, of all kinds of desserts, dedicated to me and signed by her. And if you like desserts, as of course I do and some of us do, or you want to do a special treat for the family or having friends over, invaluable. So remember, you can get both of these books together. You have a choice of 2, not all 4. So you get both of these together, or either one of these with either one of the others. You've seen the other cookbook. Now, the last one is not a cookbook. So for those like myself who can't cook, you might want to see this. This was produced now it's old, 2002. So that's way back, huh? And this is a list of restaurants, recipes, and chefs of those restaurants. And you can see all the restaurants, chefs involved are on the cover. What's really interesting, if you're familiar with, if you go to restaurants a lot, or I've seen a lot of the TV things, you may recognize some of these. You'll see things like Duke Cicero, but he's younger, of course, with more hair and a big mustache. Back then, there's a lot of mustaches. There's some of these chefs who are no longer here in the real life as well as the locality. But in the book is a listing of locations of restaurants, all the restaurants represented, a recipe for each restaurant that's represented, and information, just tips on terms, whether it be culinary terms or wine terms, which of course is so important. But anyway, it's an important part of nostalgia, but it also, if you want to take one of their favorite dishes and create it for the family or your friends, it's there. It's an interesting coffee table book because anyone locally in the food scene will start looking for their favorite chef or the chef they know. So, okay, so that's this week. That starts today, and we'll be drawing next Tuesday and hopefully getting a winner on Wednesday. Once again, the registration, simple. You can either call here, go on the website and fill out the form, or email me directly. What you have to put is, of course, your full name. We have to have a name. We have, most importantly, the email address so we can get in touch with you. And thirdly, the word raffle and your zip code, so we know it's for the raffle. You put those 3 things either on the website, on the form. You give it to anyone here at the station that receives the calls. They'll get it to me. Or you email it to me directly or text. The email is BobB, B-O-B, at RREVUE, which stands for restaurantreview.com. Bob at rreview.com, or the text, you can text to 504-666-0684. All right, enough. That's all about our raffle, and hopefully you'll be interested in participating in the cookbook or the book giveaway. So we'll go ahead and do that. Looking at it, we used a lot of time for the break. We only have supposedly 2 minutes, to the next break. So, again, we're starting about the short-term rentals. And let's just talk again about generality instead of details till we come back because it's so short. The key here is, because of our economy, all of us are hurting in some degree with regard financially. Not all is the worst word, but a lot of us are, because of things that have happened. Taxes keep going up, rents, everything are going up, as we know. So, and not all of us have another job, like myself, being a retiree, even though I do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of folks who either can't get a job because the city really doesn't have a huge, other than the hospitality environment, doesn't have a huge labor force that can fill most of the citizens' desires. So the here ends, and even those jobs are so minimum wage oftentimes that people have to take additional work. So here's become an alternative, is that if you have a place, whether you live in it or you rent it, you can actually rent it under these short-term rentals. You don't have to have a 6-month rental or a 12-month rental, and this is especially important with regard to people who are either traveling in the city for a short period of time or for a particular event. So this way they can't get into those apartments, or they don't want to get into those apartments because it's too long of a time, 6 months, or too expensive at the hotel. So you can offer your abode up, and as we send, there's multiple ways you can do it. You can live in the house, let's say it's a single-family residence, and you can apportion just 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms, whatever the clients need, as well as some shared and hopefully individual facilities like bathroom, but shared facilities of kitchens, etc. But you have to do a little bit more. If you really want people to come back and enjoy their stay and future and get ratings, because everything today is rated, just like the Uber, then you have to go and give a little bit more amenities. So you have to think of yourself as a hotelier, not just looking for those dollars. All right, they tell me it's time for break. Let's go ahead there to break, and then we come back. We'll get into specifics of short-term rental before we move on to Jazz Fest. See you again after the break, okay? Take care.
My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in the daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know.
Soul food. And then there's food for the soul. At a time where we live to eat, the Praline Connection restaurant serves up recipes that reach back into days long gone. You know, the kind of meals your mama cooked up for Sunday dinner. Fried chicken with macaroni and cheese and candied yams, homemade meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes and string beans, or Nolan's filet gumbo. That's the real soul you get only at the Praline Connection restaurant, located at the corner of Chalmers and Frenchman Street in the Marinade.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Here at Jones Insurance, your full-service agency, let us take care of all your insurance needs. We provide homeowners insurance, flood, rental, commercial, auto, and life insurance. Don't let the unexpected tragedy destroy your family's future. Here at Jones Insurance, 7603 West Bank Expressway, Monroe, Louisiana, 772. Contact Lois at 504-348-1492.
This is the Reverend D. Dunn.
And Charles Stewart.
We will be coming to you live every Monday, 11 to 12 noon on New Orleans Talk Network, hosting a new show, A Church Without Walls. The church is us, and the church is you. We are church with no boundaries. Stay as long as you want, leave when you want. Remember, every Monday, 11 to 12 noon, tune into A Church with No Walls.
Don't you dare miss it.
Y'all know me, this is a people person here.
Big homie head.
It's your boy Fred.
This man, big fan.
Right. Listen, we're your host of the New Orleans Talk Network's Fan View. Real fans talk, real sports. Check us out every Thursday night, 6 p.m.
Are you a member of Bedside Baptist? Well, now you can join Bethesda House of Prayer every Sunday for our live broadcast. It starts at approximately 9:45 every Sunday morning. Just go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com and click play. We can't wait for you to join us from your home. And don't forget, if you want to join us live and in person, service starts for 9 a.m. and we are located at 7601 West Bank Expressway, Marrero, Louisiana, 70072, Suite C.
We can send you action matters,
community events,
show topics, and a whole lot more. Go to the contact page and email us today your address. That's NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Go to the contact page, send us that email address today.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
All right. Welcome back. Last segment of Variety Hour with BobB. I don't know if you heard that last plug for our station again. Once again, talking about using the contact form on the website. If you join the raffle, you don't have to do it. You're automatically entered into our database, the email database. We've combined the two, so rather than run two distinct databases and have you to register more than one time. So once again, join through the raffle and you're covered and remain in our database, so that saves that situation. But you still can do what he says, but it's the same situation, other than not putting that raffle and your zip code, and you would not qualify for the raffle. Okay, let's get back. We want to go into details with short-term rentals. As I mentioned, April 1st was the beginning of, in New Orleans, in Orleans Parish, of the short-term rental requirement, which requires people to, of course, get a permit and some charge. I don't have that fee. So what they did was decide, they analyzed the situation of people renting out places, not hotels, individual homeowners or landlords. Came up with 3 types of entities that will be defined as short-term rental. The first one is the only home-owned, not home-owned, owner-occupant. That owner-occupant has to have a homestead exemption, and he or she can rent out a space or up to 5 bedroom spaces or half of a double, like in my home was formerly a double, many of the shotgun doubles in Orleans, year-round. Okay, so this lets you cover it year-round, so you can for any period you want. So if you live in portion or all of the home and or renting out a portion thereof, you can do this year-round and unlimited number of days, okay? The next category is called temporary. Now, this is one that's owned by a property owner. He or she can rent out the entire house, up to 5 bedrooms again, for up to 90 days in any year. So the first one, if you live in it, year-round, as long as you want, just like a regular lease, without a lease, all right? The temporary one is 90 days for a non-owner occupied, up to 5 bedrooms. And last, the commercial is property owners can operate short-term year-round, again, but with the commercial license. So the things that are required for the permit is that the property owner must show that they are covered for at least $500,000, $500,000 of liability insurance for those people who are coming in to rent. There must be smoke detectors in every bedroom and on all floors, whether they have a bedroom or not. There must be emergency contact information provided so that if something happens, the persons who are renting it, like a fire or a major accident, they can call to the emergency contact people. And the fire exits must be clearly posted, okay? And last but not least, any any overdue taxes has to be paid. Now, once you get to pay the permit fee and once you qualify for one of these 3 things, you're required to post this permit on the front of your property. Also, any websites like Airbnb, if you want to let Airbnb become part of the Airbnb profile portfolio or any of the others, then you go ahead and you have to give that permit number that you've been issued by the city. Okay? And there, of course, you're subject to being checked or requests to show these informations that all these requirements have been met. There is they've created a short-term rental administration body, which is a division of permits, who will oversee not only the application process, but also in charge of the enforcement, verifying that the permits are involved, are being shown, up to date, continuing, etc. If you need to call the short-term rental administration, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it by email to STR, which stands for short-term rental, at NOLA.gov. Very easy. Or you can call them at 504-658-7144. Okay. Now, once you've applied and been approved, you will go on a registry of all those that are listed. So that on the website, and you can see that on the website called, the one-stop app, NOLA.gov, will help you with most of these informations. But if you want to see where the listing of the property is, like where your property is, you can go 2 places. One, you need to know your zoning. So if you don't know what your zoning is and what it permits, there is a website, a chart that's available on the website, which describes each of the zoning categories, whether you're commercial, view carré, all these situations, and it tells you whether you're eligible for accessory, whether you are eligible as a temporary or as a commercial. They have 3 codes on those. They'll put a letter, P for permit. So as long as you see a P, then that means any of the codes, any of the zoning codes you're in, you will qualify for a short-term rental. If you see a C, that means that's a conditional use. They're going to make you do a lot more before they allow you to use this, because it's not going to be an ongoing. It's for special reasons, like an event. And thirdly, if the chart is blank in your particular jurisdiction, then that means it's not permitted at all. And like I say, this is all shown on their website. I think that's the easiest thing. There are several things to help you. There's actually a short-term rental brochure that you can download or get pretty copies from the administration. These are things that give you information, but you can also leave for your guests who come. Leave it in your home for people. The short-term rental allowance chart, as I showed you, as I was just reading from, you'll see it here. You probably can't read it, but it gives you every one of the zoning codes and whether these type of short-term rentals are permitted, conditional, or not allowed. There's an application online, because you can apply for short-term rentals online, which is great. And the important thing here is that the difference between a bed and breakfast, you cannot apply online. You have to apply in person, and then you can only lease that for up to 7 days. So remember that distinction. So bed and breakfast, which sounds good and has been the only alternative, I guess, to hotels, has been bed and breakfasts, but those can only lease for, so if somebody wants to stay 2 weeks or longer, then they either have to leave and come back. I'm not sure if they can game the system or not, but they're only supposed to be in there 7 days. The main thing there is you're a business, and you have to go in person down to City Hall and go through all that permitting process, which may or may not be tedious anymore. The good thing about the short-term rental is you could do it online. Everything's taken care of as long as you pay the fees and do what they have, and you have much broader opportunities. So if you live in the place, you can rent portions or halves up to 5 bedrooms for year-round without having to have any breaks, anything like that. If you're the temporary, then you can go if you don't have to live in it, but it's only for 90 days. So again, that's still better than the bed and breakfast, which only allows 7 days. And the commercial is year-round, which would really qualify as a hotel. Okay. As I said, we have some information. If you want to call or text anything on this, please do. If after the show you have something, you can go to either my email, bob@rreview.com, or you can text it here to the station or ask it, and we certainly will get you that information. Now, I did say at the beginning of the show, we've been talking about Orleans Parish. And as you know, this internet serves way beyond both Orleans and Jefferson. It goes even beyond. But I did investigate Jefferson since it's located on the West Bank in Jefferson Parish. And I spoke to some people, you might recognize this name, Antoine Harris. Antoine Harris used to be a young and upcoming reporter, then anchor, I believe. He had his own show on one of the local standard channel. I think it was 6, but I could be wrong there. And then he was lured away by Jefferson Parish government. He's now the public relations officer for the president of Jefferson Parish. So it was great to talk to him again. He did some research for me, and he found that there are no ordinances on the books at all concerning short-term rentals, nor any provisions with the council that maybe they'll address this. So even though Orleans has passed it, it's not something Jefferson Parish will entertain ideas. If Orleans come up with something that they feel is necessary, then they'll address it in their own right. So I guess you can say it's open season in Jefferson Parish. I'm going to tell you one little last personal story before we move on. And I first heard about Airbnb, and we told you that's probably the largest one of these service providers who link people up to let them stay at one of these rentals in the city of their choice when they're going. Several years ago, maybe 4 or 5 at the most, one of the ladies that was in my dining club. I had a dining club for with regard to my television show, Restaurant Review. And she was of Indian descent, but lived here in the United States most of her life, if not born. She was an executive assistant and lived on the West Bank. So that's why I'm, again, bringing up the West Bank. And she had a lovely home with a pool, but again, as expenses got, plus she had learned about it because she traveled a lot before she even settled here. And so with that, she had learned about Airbnb and praised it to the hilt, not only because she was now a participant, but from her personal use. Because once again, she felt she was getting much more personal care. She could ask questions or directions or anything about that she needed to know. She could go to the grocery store as opposed to having to eat out every meal. So she decided to make some extra revenue, not just for the revenue, but for meeting people from around the world. And she had had wonderful experiences. She narrated to us one about a British gentleman who came in, and again, but all of her clients had been commercial clients, meaning they were coming to the West Bank, predominantly, or New Orleans, on a more than the 4 days or 2 days. They were here for business and working on that. So they were looking to get acquainted with the city without just seeing the tourist situation and being jammed into a hotel. She got to enjoy it so much, she found out his favorite liqueur, and she actually bought a bottle and kept it in. So that was wintertime, so she had a fireplace, so he was able to enjoy a nice little drink or whatever in the evenings when he came in. Anyway, again, the point of the story was I had never heard of Airbnb. It's AIRBNB, like bed and breakfast. And you can go to that website. You can select the zip code, or not the zip code, the city probably, where you want to go or to rent, and it'll take you from there. It'll give you pictures of the place you're looking for. Well, it'll ask you whether you want a whole house or one bedroom or whatever your needs are. Very simple. Then it gives you the selection with pictures, and you can, of course, click on a picture and find out a lot more detail, including the owner's picture, the ratings that he had received, as well as what they give the guest, and complete details so you'll know. I found out, I said, well, let me just see, since the station is located in Marrero, how many do we have? Well, in Airbnb, I was able to find one home. Of course, they don't just show you that one home. They'll immediately overlap after that with all the nearby New Orleans locations, so the screens will fill. So once you're there, especially you don't want to look like it's such a limited thing, then maybe you'll be encouraged to take something else in another nearby location. But this was a lovely home with a pool, and she's had numerous successful rentals. She and a couple. They even have a pool house. They rent that out as well because it's fully livable with a kitchen and da-da-da. So it goes to show you that there are places, even in a smaller town like Marrero, there's some people who are interested in participating in B&B, Airbnb, and or now your local short-term rental. So the key here is that if you are going through Airbnb and you have applied for the Orleans, and you live in Orleans Parish, East Bank or West Bank, and you have gotten your permit, that permit number will show to show that you are licensed, so the consumer will not have any problems or any concerns that is this being run illegally or illegitimately. Whereas some of the other cities don't have such, and just like we were before, where these places were operating without the oversight of the city or the state. Here we have rules now for Orleans. Jefferson, as we said, it's open-ended. But anyway, we hope you take advantage. We hope you find it of interest and of use. I'm still debating. I had some bad situations incurred. Nothing. This is years and years ago with people who wanted short-term rental, and it just didn't work out for me. So, but everybody's got their own druthers, and if you feel like you have the accommodations and the temperament, here's a chance for you to bring in a few dollars and make a lot of new friends. Who knows, you might swap and go to their home or their house or their apartment, whatever, if you would be interested in the town that they live. So you could really develop good relationships with friends. All right, we've gone over this enough. It's still a little time left, so we have two things to do. One is we want to talk quickly about Jazz Fest. I don't want to bore you too much. And then talking about, give a shout out to the restaurant. So if you haven't got, I suggest you, and everyone should know about Gambit, or unless you go online or get those cubes, whatever they call it. You know, they have their pull-out section with all of their dates, with Friday, Saturday, and Sunday by time. Again, I'm looking at the big names that I like. Of course, people like locals. Irma Thomas will be here Saturday at 3:05 on the Acura stage, which I understand is probably the most well-attended, and therefore maybe the less likely that you will get it within an eye shot, maybe an ear shot, but certainly not an eye full of Irma. Later that night, and 4:50 to 7 will be, of course, of the tremendously talented Stevie Wonder. So everybody would like to see him. So that would be back-to-back. The big deal there is whether or not you can get actually to see them or just hear them, whatever your delight is. More contemporary artists Saturday night at the Gentilly stage to close out. Meghan Trainor, not a favorite of mine, but on the Congo Square stage at 5:50. Snoop Dogg. Everybody loves Snoop Dogg, so there's a good one. Rockin' Doozy, Big Chief, Bo Dallas. All of those are the closeout acts on Saturday. On Friday, I've skipped that, of course. The closeout act is at on the Acura, Dave Matthew and Tim Reynolds, who I don't know Tim Reynolds. Earth, Wind, and Fire is on the Congo Square at 5:25. There's some other early Anders Osborne, Jason Marcel, Bonorama, Jermaine Basil, which we love. And then Sunday, let's see, we'll finish that out before we do our shout-out. Some of the local favorites on Sunday on Acura at 12:30, Cowboy Mount, followed by another contemporary 145 Galactic, Kings of Leon, which is not real popular right now, but it was a throwback, 3:35. And finishing up at 5:35 with Trombone Shorty and Orleans Avenue. The Meters close out on Gentilly stage at 5:35. Frankie Beverly and Mays, the perennial favorite, closes out for 5:37 on the Congo Square. Blues Traveler closes out Blues Tent. Kermit Ruffin, Patti LaBelle are there earlier. 3:40, Patti LaBelle, Congo Square. Kermit Ruffin, People's Health at 4:20. Okay. Again, we can't get them all. You know the list is tremendous. Hopefully you'll go, and we understand you're going to have very, very good weather. So that's the key. The Lord is blessing us after last Sunday, giving us a little. There was still a chance for people opening up, and our good, hard friends went out and enjoyed the last few hours that it was open. Anyway, we have a couple of minutes left. So as we want to pick up this segment that will hopefully become a reality one day of a show called Restaurant Review, named after my previous TV show. And what we want to do here is to shout out to new restaurants or restaurants that need attention and maybe haven't received such. I might have, if you've listened to any of the earlier shows or my TV show, you know that Algiers on the West Bank of Orleans Parish is not filled with great restaurants. The one that probably has the most notoriety is the Wabbit. It used to be called the Wabbit. It's now, I think it's in Gretna, Terrytown. But I introduced one called The Kitchen, which has been around a long time, a phenomenal chef on General Maya. And we have a new one today. Now, there's some others. Back, I tell you, in the 80s, we had at least 4 or 5-star restaurants. LaRousse, the steakhouse that came in. Anyway, I don't go over that. That's all has been. But today, unfortunately, we don't have the oil. We have the casino taking away a lot of the regular restaurant business. The mom and pops are always hurting. But we have these 2 young ladies, the Barnes sisters, Casme, beautiful name, and Cheval, who have opened up their eatery called Cafe Agape, Agape, on General Maya, right in the beginning, 2101, if I remember correctly. This is a breakfast and lunch place. Agape, for those who don't know, what is that word? Well, it's Greek for love, and it means the love of a higher being like God for mankind and vice versa. It's also been taken to mean hospitality, love of your neighbor itself. And these are 2 religious-minded young ladies who've introduced a local coffee shop. And, of course, we have we say, oh, we got too many. We never have too many coffee shops. Coffee is one of the perennial ingredients of almost every, not only New Orleans, but in all cities' lives. So it's a coffee shop with great and brunch eatery. So they have great foods and, well, not complete dinners, anything. They're not open at dinner time. They close at 2, I believe. They open about 7:30. So we were hoping to hear from one of the ladies this morning, but I guess they're busy. So I'm going to go after the show and meet them, speak to them to see if maybe later on we can bring them on in another capacity so we can really feature their eatery. But as I say, they have great, and this place also becomes an event place in the evening. They do, I believe, karaoke. I don't know if it's on special request or whatever, but they've also opened it up to other events. So they really are active in the community, and they would like you to obviously give them a try. Again, the name is Cafe Agape, AGAPE 2101 General Meyer. All right. That's it for today from me. We're glad you came and listened. Don't forget our keep up the raffle, and we will see you here next week, same time, same channel, as they say. Okay, take care. Enjoy Jazz Fest.